Time to roll the dice with another Roll for Cricket podcast, the official podcast for rollforcricket.com. Watch, shop, play. I'm Will Keeler.
I'm Jonathan Estes, and we got a big show for you this week because we are just about a week away from Gen Con.
That's right, and of course that means there are a lot of games being announced there, so this whole episode is going to be dedicated to telling you for this year's Gen Con what we're excited for.
Yeah, Gen Con 50 of 2017, big deal. We're going to be going down a whole list, a few caveats. We're not going to mention everything at the show, obviously.
Right.
We can't. There's too many.
And of course there could be things we don't even know about yet that will be announced there.
Many, and I'm sure there are things that maybe are on the list that we could know about but just aren't on our radar for whatever reason. And we're going to see a lot of that stuff when we get there. This show is about what we thought were the biggest names and what we're really most excited about personally.
Right, and of course we will also say, because we noticed that a lot of the Kickstarter we mentioned might be there as well. So there's your preview.
If you haven't noticed, Kickstarters are 80% of the board game industry now. So a lot of these games you may have heard of already from that channel as well. So without further ado, we're going to go down this whole list. We took most of these games from a list from Board Game Geek, which we'll put a link so you can see the entire thing for yourself. So we're just going to go through it in publisher order.
Right. There's no order of which one we're more excited for or not. This is really just
alphabetical
by publisher.
But also, I want to point out that some of these games may be there for demo, some of them may be for sale, or maybe both. And sometimes there's a mistake, and sometimes they don't even bring the game. So we just don't know.
And of course, just because it's at sale at Gen Con doesn't mean it's at sale everywhere, because they might sell it then not sell it again until December.
Well, that's certainly true, so don't get your hopes up too hard. So anyway, let's get into it. All right, so starting off with the big one with a bunch of titles is AEG. Mm-hmm. They have first a couple that we actually got to see at PhD Speed Gaming that we already talked about, which are Lovecraft Letter and Custom Heroes.
Yeah, I was very happy with Lovecraft Letter because, of course, I am a big Lovecraft fan, but at the same time, like, it's just, at first, before we learned anything, I was like, oh, a reskin, yay. But we actually played it, and it does add something worthwhile to add to your collection. Yeah,
that was a fun Love Letter skin for sure, and Custom Heroes was cool. It's sort of like
very
card crafting
thing. I like it a lot, and it does make. I love the artwork too, and the cool, like, everyone can hold weapons and armor and sort of.
Did they have? There's another one they've got, Unicornus Knights. Was that a PhD or no?
That was not a PhD.
So what's Unicornus Knights?
So it's a cooperative game actually where you're trying to pretty much get your Princess Knight, who I assume is the one on the cover, back to the kingdom and fighting through tiles and stuff. What interests me about it was part of this set, they have it like big in Japan, so I don't know whether it's actually big in Japan or whether this is them trying to be like, we're taking games from other countries and seeing how they do here, which is something I think worth checking out.
Interesting. So we'll see. That's another thing they have is the Smash Up Big in Japan set.
Right. I also don't know if that's related to it or not.
I have no idea, but we've talked about that's a new Smash Up expansion. Cool Japanese themed anime stuff in there. They've also got the Thunderstone Quest, which was on Kickstarter.
Right.
So you've probably seen that, as well as a new Automobiles expansion, and then probably the one I think we're probably both most excited for, which is Edge of Darkness, which is finally we get to see this game that Mystic Vale was supposed to prepare us for.
Right, and honestly, that's how we felt. We felt almost, when playing Mystic Vale, like it was more of a tutorial. In which case now we're really excited because Mage Knight is one of the things we thought of, which has deck building in it, but it obviously isn't the only mechanic in there that you focus on.
Right, so if you don't know, these games have this card crafting thing where you actually put cards in sleeves to enhance them, which is neat.
And supposedly Edge of Darkness, that's how this works. That's part of it, but not the only mechanic.
Yeah, there's a whole game. It's not just a deck building game, right? So I'm really excited to see that at long last. From Ankama, we have a game called Monster Slaughter.
Yeah, this game is pretty much, it looks sort of like a fun little play on Monster 80s. You each are a head of a monster household, like vampires, werewolves, and there's a cabin in the woods which actually has little walls and stuff, and you're trying to find and kill the teenagers.
I love it. It's great. I think I saw that one actually.
Yeah, it looks like a fun and look different pop-up, so definitely something interesting. And it had monsters, so that usually catches my eye.
We love monsters and we love slaughter. Next, Arcane Wonders is going to be bringing Sheriff of Nottingham Merry Men, the first expansion.
Right, we talked about this. We talked about how we loved Sheriff of Nottingham, so definitely very curious to see how this
Yeah,
goes.
this one adds a sixth player as well as a bunch of other cool new mechanics. So they said it's going to be there in limited quantities. That's one I'm definitely hoping to get my hands on.
Yeah, I mean, considering I know we have plenty. I mean, just for the 6-player thing alone, because how many? I mean, even last time we were playing games, we were just like, how many people have 6?
Yeah, and that's also such a party game, and I really want that extra person. I hope it works well. I hope they balanced it well with the new stuff they added.
I mean, it's worth always checking out.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking for it. Ares Games is going to be there. They have a few titles, but one that I thought sounded interesting was The Hunt for the Ring, which is a Lord of the Rings based game.
Oh, I thought it was about marriage.
Nope, not this time. What's different about it, it's a hidden movement game. So one player is Frodo, and everyone else is a Ring Wraith or a Nazgul or whatever, one of those things. And they're trying to track him carrying the ring to a certain location, which I thought was an interesting twist because I feel like usually in hidden movement games, the one player is sort of more the bad guy, and this player, it's kind of like everyone else is the bad guy.
Well, I mean, that's definitely
It's a matter of perspective.
Yeah. I mean,
think
so, no, I
Frodo
mean,
was the bad guy?
Well, no, I was thinking more of like, I mean, obviously, Letter Whitechapel, that's not a question, I think.
He's the hero.
But like, Spec Ops is definitely, I think,
I don't know. They're an evil government organization that has monster cyborgs and stuff.
Yeah, they're not the hidden one. I thought you were saying the hidden one's the bad guy.
Oh, you're right. No, I guess that's true. I guess you're
But
right.
if you read both sides, both of them are sort of on the extreme. But
You know, forget everything I said. It looks
But
cool.
no, but what's interesting is that when I think Lord of the Rings, I feel like every Lord of the Rings one you always play as the good guys. You never play as the villains.
Oh, the power just went out or something, but we're just going to keep rolling
Yeah.
through it. Let's just keep going.
Well, you always play as the good guys, and I'm not counting the deck building game where you can buy villains to use. That's
Right,
not.
right. The other thing that's interesting, this also has a second phase where you actually drop that and do some other different stuff. So that sounds cool. That's Hunt for the Ring. From Asmodee Games, they're bringing out Innovation Deluxe, which I'm interested in because these innovation games have been out for a while. I've never had the chance to play them, and I thought, oh, this is cool because it's the full game with the expansions included. I thought this would be a great way to get started with it since I've never had the chance to actually try it out. So anyway, I thought that was cool. Bezier Games will be there with some games that we kind of know about already.
Right.
Palace of Mad King Ludwig.
Definitely excited. We've talked about it before. In essence, you're working together to build a madhouse.
That's right. I thought Castle's Mad King Ludwig was great, and this sounded like an even better version of it, or complement to it. I don't know.
To me, it sounds sillier because you can really make the castle, but your castle's weird mostly because you're just missing parts. I feel when this, it's weird because we had 4 contractors building on the same house, and now we have this crazy building.
Yeah, it will definitely create some more interesting scenarios. I think they're also going to have Whistle Stop, which is the new train.
Right.
placement.
I think we saw. Didn't we see that?
We've talked about it. I think
it was at
yeah, we
PG,
did
yeah.
see it. We did see it a little bit. We haven't had a chance to try it out yet, but that one looks pretty cool. And they're going to have Werewords, which we did try out.
Yeah, a lot of fun. Definitely, if you like word games, it's definitely one worth checking out.
Yeah, for sure. Blue Orange will be there with King Domino.
Yeah, we wanted to mention this mostly. We've talked about it on a show. It won the Spiel des Jahres, so I mean, it's definitely worth looking at.
Yeah, so they'll definitely be capitalizing on that. I'm sure it might be hard to get. I wonder how many they'll have because there's so much buzz.
Well, yeah, and the other thing is about it, it's cheap.
Yeah.
Which is like,
so they might have a bunch because it is a small box.
no, but people are more likely to buy it.
Oh, that's true too.
It's it doesn't hurt your budget.
We'll see, but we both liked that game. Catalyst Game Labs is going to be bringing out Dragonfire.
Yeah, we're both really excited this after finally playing
Shadowrun,
Shadowrun, and we really liked it.
Yeah, this is their Dungeons & Dragons deck building game. If you played Shadowrun, it's cooperative. You're working together. There's going to be experience points, campaign style stuff in there. Really excited. That's what I'm hoping to try out for sure. Cephalofair Games is going to have...
Was that the company where you finally learned how to say their name?
No, you're thinking of Calliope.
Yeah, I did.
They all have weird names.
I knew it had a C. That's all I remembered.
Calliope will be there too. We're not highlighting any of their stuff this episode. But Cephalofair did Gloomhaven, and they have a new game, Founders of Gloomhaven, which is actually a standalone spin-off.
Yeah, it's currently on Kickstarter right now, I believe.
Oh, that's probably true. I don't actually know, but wouldn't surprise me at all.
Because I remember looking at it and being like, it's standalone, I'll see.
Right. So, but it's cool that they're expanding on that universe. That Gloomhaven's super popular. Now, of course, speaking of super popular games that are on Kickstarter, we have CMON, and we've just talked about they have their new Song of Ice and Fire is going to be there. They're also going to have Rising Sun, which is the Eric Lang game.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as we heard about that, we're like, one of us are going to get it.
Yeah, I'm sure it's great. The new Zombicide Green Horde will be there, as well as Gateway Uprising, which is another brand new title that I don't know anything about.
It's a deck building game. It looked really cool in terms of you're trying to regain control, but there's tiles, like village tiles, and the monsters can take them over, so it seemed to have a bit of a board. It's not just build your deck for efficiency. You could lose if you spend too much time.
That's cool.
So it's something that's always worth checking.
I mean, CMON, they'll probably be expensive and they'll probably be very good.
I don't know, their card games aren't as bad. Because as far as I know, it didn't have a miniature.
They have some more lower end and higher end now.
Of course, I'm saying this comes from a guy who has like 6 different games that are all just miniatures.
We're the 1% over here. We don't know anymore. We think bananas cost $10.
I am exaggerating a bit, but let's continue.
We're continuing. Cryptozoic. You've heard of them. Mm-hmm. They have a few new additions to their deck building lines, namely a new DC Birds of Prey pack.
Right.
That's just what size is that?
It's their crossover packs. Okay. It's part of their series. It's pretty much, hey, we have these heroes that aren't enough to have a big box, so we made a small thing, which is nice in some ways because you get some less represented. But my problem with them is, but they can fix it, is that they usually have some fun keywords in them they introduce, and then you never see them again.
Yeah.
So I'd hope they do a big box that finally brings more of those keywords in. But what's more exciting for me is the other 2 items, is Confrontation, which if you recall the Batman v Joker,
I do.
It pretty much is that with the teams, though. So that adds a whole new way to battle and try to win the game.
Is it? Do you have to pick like 2 villains and 2 heroes, or can you like mix and match?
I don't know because they had their own cards. I'm sure you can throw in Batman and Joker if you want to, because
right.
And of course, there's the big box, which I've been waiting for.
Right.
Partly because I'm curious how big it is, because I mean, you've seen my thing. I use a 5 slot, and that's half DC. So
yeah, the box that will supposedly hold everything from DC up until this point. I wonder how far into the future they've planned for.
And it has its own little expansion there, I believe, too.
Oh wow! So yeah, that will be interesting to see the dimensions on that one. They've also got close Rick counters of the Rick kind, which is really just another entry into this deck building. Their deck building engine based on Rick and Morty. So
specifically
that episode where there's a bunch of Ricks.
You know that if it's Cryptozoic and Rick and Morty, it's one episode. It's amazing. We're gonna get 3 seasons worth of games.
They play it safe, those guys.
I can't wait for the one about the first episode of season 1. It's just about finding the Szechuan chicken sauce.
That will be an entire game. I promise that you're not wrong about that. And finally, they're going to have a game that we actually saw last year and already played, the new Walking Dead No Sanctuary game, but presumably a more final finished form will be available at this Gen Con. But we had issues with that game, if I recall correctly, but I think it has some fun stuff in it as well. So I don't know. We'll see what the final product is like.
Right.
You can go back and find our video from last Gen Con to hear us talk about that. Czech Games will be there with a couple new ones. Codenames Duet. Mm-hmm. It's Codenames for 2 players. If you like Codenames, you might want to pick that one up. I think I'm, to be honest, a little Codenames out, and there's going to be more Codenames coming on this list. But I'm not sure. I haven't tried Duet, so maybe that will add something special.
That might be worth it just to have the 2-player variant, I think. But.
Yeah, could be. And then That's a Question, which we also played at PHG.
Yeah, that one I actually really enjoyed.
Fun, kind of, not really a guessing game, but it was
more icebreakery, I want to say.
Yeah, like a social party game where you kind of ask questions of each other. And
like, what would you rather live without? Oh.
Yeah, and you guess what they're going to say. It was fun. Again, we did a video on that. You can find it on our channel. Our friends at Daily Magic Games will be there with a brand new expansion for Valeria Card Kingdoms, the main box called Flames and Frost. They've also got this game called 10-Minute Heist that sounded pretty cool because, you're heist games. That's cool. You're competing to pull off a heist job. So their games are always fun. Looking forward to that. Days of Wonder has a new game called Yamatai from designer Bruno Cathala, who's did also 5 Tribes and many others. And the art and the box look similar to Five Tribes, although from what I've read, it's fairly different. But essentially, it's you're building, you have ships of different colors, and you're trying to place them in different areas in different ways to build more than your opponents. It's a kind of a Euro game, but from such a renowned company and designer, I'm sure that's going to be one of the hot ones this year. If you can grab a demo or a copy of that. Elzra Games has some new Catacombs stuff. Catacombs is a dexterity game, very popular. The first one is Catacombs and Castles, which is a standalone. They're calling it sort of like an introduction almost. Like I think it's supposed to be maybe more beginner friendly. I don't know. It may or may not be compatible with the other boxes, but it's I think a smaller, cheaper kind of version of Catacombs. And they also have 2 new expansions for regular Catacombs. So they're going all in on the Catacombs. If you're a Catacombs head, to try that out. This next game sounded really cool to me from DV Giochi. It's called 3 Secrets.
Yeah, no. In this, it's a puzzle-solving detective game. You got to find these clues before it's too late. One person knows these clues. He's the informant. But he can't tell you everything or else time will run out too fast.
So basically, from what I can gather of this game, it's a lot like Dark Stories, only with more, I think with more structure to it.
More game.
Yeah, so it's not just asking questions, but there's more rule to it. You have a certain amount of clues you can give or something. Also, I know it's compatible with an app, which I really like because, that means maybe they can add more stuff, more stories in the future. I know it's also picture-based. I was reading about it.
That's why we talked about with Mansion Madness how we like the fact that it uses the app because you can just spend and you get a new story.
Yeah, for games like this, and especially if it is like Dark Stories, which was a perfect play in the car, play at a restaurant, on the road.
On the road again.
To have an app for that. Really, really great. We have to pay royalties now. What have you done? All right, next from Emperor S4, a game called Shadows in Kyoto. What's this?
Yeah, so it's a 2-player game, and it was really, I think this company is similar to going back to AEG, but like just a bunch of games brought over translated. You're actually playing as 2 sides of the spies in the war. And the way you win is either A, you capture your opponent who has the real intel, B, your opponent catches 3 of your spies with fake intel, or C, you get your spy to escape with the real intel. So it sounds like a really fun, like back and forth, trying to read and trick your opponent.
That's cool. Yeah, bluffing, spy stuff is cool. Do you know? You may not. Do you know instantly whether it was real intel or not when you get it?
I assume because the game ends.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I guess you're right. I guess you have to tell them that information. Yeah, spy stuff is cool. That sounds fun. This is an exciting one. So last year we got Big Trouble in Little China Legendary. This year we're getting a Big Trouble in Little China board game from Everything Epic. And this is much more, it's fully cooperative, there's little figures.
Right.
More of that movie experience, I think.
Yeah, and we've played their game before in the Temple, and we've enjoyed it, so I'm very excited. And if you pre-ordered it there, or if you pre-ordered it there and you can bring your confirmation, you actually get a free little dice bag, like with the symbol of, I believe, something from the movie. I'm totally blanking right now.
One of those things from the movie.
It might be like the villain.
We don't know.
I'm blanking everything. Yeah.
We don't know. Leave the comment below.
I'm actually more afraid to butcher the name and then sound really.
We don't. Let's not skirt that line today, folks. We love their games and Big Trouble in Little China. That's cool. That's cool to see them doing a big license like that. It'd be interesting. Fantasy Flight will be there now. We don't know much. Usually they tend to play their cards close to the vest, and they come out with some big announcements at the convention.
However, consider this our roll for crit prediction. There will be Star Wars there.
We need a big one. I feel like last year I had a good prediction for them, and this year I don't have it. I don't know what it was. I'm sure I was wrong. But they will have, we do know, the new Game of Thrones Catan, as well as the Legend of the Five Rings LCG.
Right.
That will be one to definitely want to check out and try to play for you. Fireside Games, they're going to have Hot Shots, which we got a chance to play already, which is a fun co-op game from the mind behind Castle Panic, where you're firefighters. They're also going to have Kaiju Crush, which we didn't get a chance to play, unfortunately. It wasn't around last time we were at a convention, and that's, it's kaijus battling monsters. So
once again, monsters.
So the good stuff coming from them. Floodgate Games has one called Sagrada.
This game, I would actually, from what I saw, it actually reminded me of a Role Player.
Okay.
But you're making stained glass windows.
Okay.
So you have different dice of different colors and numbers, so you have to try to... And I think it's been out before, but everything I've heard, everyone said they've really loved it and stuff. And I know both of us have really enjoyed Role Player because it's almost like a fun sort of...
Yeah, I saw they described it as dice drafting, which Role Player is it's not really drafting.
No, but it's thinking...
Oh, no, it is. Actually,
it is, but it has the idea of you're rolling dice and you have to think about color and number and how do I fit this in most efficiently.
It's definitely a unique way to use dice, and
they're all see-through, so it's pretty.
Yeah, hey, I want to make stained glass and windows. Flying Frog Games will be there with, I thought, something very interesting. Not only do they have a new expansion for Last Night on Earth, Hero Pack 2. When did Hero Pack 1 come out, like 7 years ago or something? They also have their Last Night on Earth, the 10th anniversary edition. I had no idea this was a thing that existed, which is Last Night on Earth. If you don't know, it's a zombie-themed game. It's from 10 years ago. We've played it before.
Didn't we do a playback on it?
We did a playback for it last Halloween. You can check out.
I always double check with zombie games.
Yeah, they're easy to get confused. This one is the original base game plus a bunch of stuff from some expansions, new scenarios, updated miniatures. Even the soundtrack is updated and with new songs on it. Basically, just a full-on ultimate deluxe version of that game.
So does it come with Now That's What I Call Last Night on Earth?
Yeah, all the hits, all the classics. So for fans of that game, I think it's really cool. It's a little tempting for me because I don't have any of those expansions, but also it is pricier because it's a big, nice game. So I don't know if I'm curious. I'm very curious to see it. I don't know if I want to buy it or not just yet.
I mean, take a look and see because it might also it fits everything, which means you have one box of Hill.
I think they said that it would. I think from what I've heard, it will hold expansions and stuff like that. Fowers Games will be there. Tim Fowers, his new game Fugitive, which was on Kickstarter, which is sort of like a spin-off, I think, of Burgle Bros, which was this other game. We haven't played this, but his games are always fun. And the theme is really cool. You're fugitives. You're running from each other, from the law and stuff like that. So I'm excited to try to check that one out. Galacta will be there with This War of Mine, which we've talked about on the show quite a bit.
I mean, you pretty much want to say if you do like single-player games, definitely that's where you got to head and check out.
Yeah, very thematic. Watch our video on that for sure. Game Salutes will be there with Storm Hollow, a storyboard game. Now, what does that mean to you, a storyboard game?
Well, in essence, you're sort of trying to go through a story, and both of us we're always interested when you see anything that involves story, so that's what reason it really caught my eye.
Narrative games are fun, and so if you like stories, check out Storm Hollow. That'll be there from Game Salute. Greater Than Games has a bunch. We're actually going to get a chance to talk directly to some people from Greater Than Games, and hopefully have a video of that up for you guys early in the week of Gen Con, which will be cool. But they have Laser Riders, which we got to just check out before. Fate of the Elder Gods, we also saw a little bit of that. Exoplanets, a bunch of these games we actually have copies of, and we'd like to get a chance to try and play and give you our feedback on soon. They're also going to have Sentinels Oblivion.
Right, the final
Sentinels of the Multiverse expansion, so that's pretty exciting, wrapping all that up. So they have a pretty big lineup. They have a lot of things coming.
They've expanded.
They're going all in. Holy Grail Games will have Museum.
Yeah, this one caught my eye because it's sort of. Did I play Artifact Inc. with you?
I don't think you have played with me, but you've talked about it with me on the show.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if I played it again with you, but same idea of like you're working in a museum, so you have to collect different artifacts for different groups, but you also have to try to get special patrons who will give you more points, as well as hire maybe like special archaeologists or paleontologists and stuff. So I mean, it's that kind of museum thing that always catches my eye.
Yeah, anything with those museum themes is fun.
Well, like the ancient collecting artifacts and relics, it always just seems like that makes it
collecting art or artifacts or stealing them.
Yeah,
there's so much fun you can have with that. IDW. Again, a bunch of games that we are kind of been talking about before. The Centipede, the first of the new Atari line. So that will be very interesting to see how that translates to a board game. The new Legend of Korra game.
Right.
If you're a fan of Legend of Korra. Along with the first Outpost game, Outpost Siberia, which are these new little card games based on kind of survival horror themes, which sounded really cool. Also this one called Seikatsu, or Saikatsu. I don't speak Japanese, but what's Seikatsu?
That was the one I was confusing before, but in essence, it's like this it's a placement of like flowers, but birds and colors, and trying to get the right. It's not you want to get the birds grouped up, but also rows of flowers, and so certain birds on certain flowers. So it seems like it's sort of that fun sort of just Zen making this really pretty board.
That sounds nice. You put a bird on it is essentially what the game is. Yellow is going to be showing up with some new ones, including Bunny Kingdom. Which is a game where you're a bunch of bunnies and you're building a civilization. Why you're bunnies? I don't know. I guess because it's cute and looks good in the box art. They're also going to have the new version of the King of Tokyo Halloween expansion. So I guess that's going to just completely replace the old one, right? But
I actually read it, and as far as I can tell, I mean, if you have the first edition, you don't need this one.
Okay, I wasn't sure.
Because I did look it up because I just got the Cthulhu monster pack and the power up, so I'm trying to keep track of what I actually need to get and what I don't.
Is it even but artwork updated at least, or?
From the artwork, the One Piece, I haven't looked at the artwork yet because I know they redid all the other artwork.
Right.
But the One Piece artwork I had looked the same.
So maybe it's a little, maybe not. But at any rate,
there was. If you're interested in King of Tokyo, they do have a promo there.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, I read about this. The one, it's based on Alison Hayslip, who is like an actress.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's all right. Cool. Check that one out. And then they also have a new Mountains of Madness game, a game based on the Lovecraft stories. So that's interesting. I mean, I'm just curious to see what they
more Lovecraft.
Yeah. You always need more of that. Infinite Dreams Gaming is going to be there with one I know you're very excited about, and we're probably going to get a chance to play.
Tic-tac-toe.
That's right. Updated edition. No, it's Warehouse 13, the board game, based on the TV show of the same name. Not the board game, just the first two parts. So, yeah, I mean, you know way more about the show than I do.
Yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed the show. I think, I was just going back to when we were talking about museums about collecting things, it sort of, I feel like it was an obvious choice.
Yeah.
So I'm very excited and a little worried.
So it could, a little worried. We'll see. I don't know if maybe depending on schedule, we'll send you off on that alone, or we see the perspective of from someone who knows the show and someone who doesn't.
No, you're actually going to wake up, and I'm taking the hotel bed with you, and you're waking up right next to them.
Could be. More things based on shows. Jasco Games they're going all out with their licenses this year. First of all, they have a thing I didn't know existed, but I'm very excited for, which is the expansion for their Buffy game.
Right.
If you saw Gen Con last year and our subsequent videos talking about it, I'm a big Buffy fan. I really loved this game. The expansion adds a new board section, plus a bunch of new characters, like pretty much all the stuff from the show that they didn't fit into that first box sounds like is in this one. So I'm really excited to see what kind of new mechanics also maybe they add that change the game up a little bit. It won't be for sale there, unfortunately, but a demo, I think, or just showing it off. They also have a new Cowboy Bebop game?
Yeah, there was no pictures that I couldn't find, and that's why I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, so that'll be very interesting. This is the same company that also did Mega Man, so there's a bunch going on. I don't know if they're developing it in-house or not.
I'm saying it now, if I don't see a corgi when I walk over their table, that's it, done.
And then finally they have a Dragon Ball Z miniatures game. Again, so I don't know much about it, but it's a DBZ mini game, so you're going to be fighting Goku and stuff like that.
I just imagine, though, there's minis for each character. They're about this big, and like, all right, I brought my Spirit Bomb mini. This is this giant like balloon worth, and just drop it.
We can only hope. So definitely, if you like any of those licenses, stop by Jasco's booth. Level 99 will be there with pretty much, I think, stuff we'd expect. A new BattleCon game, Trials of Indians, which I read in their description is meant to be sort of a good entry point, which I think almost all of them are actually kind of a good entry point. But hey, more BattleCon stuff if you like that. And a new Millennium Blades expansion. I don't know do you know more about it, how big it actually is.
I think it's pretty small,
thing,
yeah, so.
Called Professionals. Lone Shark will be there with the Apocrypha Adventure card game.
Yeah, so.
What the heck is that?
Remember when we were talking about story-based games before?
I do.
That's what this is like. I want to call it like time stories. It reminded me of, because you can either play it 100% co-op or actually with one person as like the DM kind of deal.
Okay.
The game master. And the way it works is it's going to be a card game where you can build and try to survive through this horror. If you look at the cover, it's very terrifying. And the base comes with like the first two chapters, I think, one or two, and then they're going to have like two more boxes to come with the other chapters. So you're actually playing through a full story. It's not as standalone as time stories, at least where we've gotten. It's going to be much more connected.
That sounds very cool. They're also going to have the Thornwatch game, which is based on that Penny Arcade comic that was a Kickstarter a while back. So it sounds like they're doing cool stuff with that's also a thematic kind of narrative-based driven game. So that stuff is always very cool. Mayfair will have a new 2-player version of Caverna called Caverna Cave versus Cave. So if you like Caverna, maybe sort of like Agricola had the 2-player version. This will be
and Le Havre.
Le Havre also, that's right. This will be that.
In fact, I'm pretty sure I don't know about the Agricola one, but you take the Le Havre artwork and this one, they're pretty much like the same, except one has sailors, one has cavemen.
This one has 2 people facing each other angrily. We could probably reenact it. No, it's not. I ruined it.
That's their next game. It's the Rover dual player.
Another big license, Modiphius, Fallout Wasteland Warfare. You know,
I mean,
minis.
yeah,
it's a
we've talked
game.
about it. I'm curious because I like Fallout, but at the same time, I was hoping for just the game. I'm curious to see what they do. And once again, I'm also hoping that they don't just pull from 4, which they say they're not, and from what we can see, but,
Yeah, we're not huge minis gamers, so it'll be interesting to see if the theme will pull us. And not that we don't like minis games,
no,
we don't have time.
Also, as of this recording, neither of us have any skill of painting minis.
That's for sure. I don't know. I've never tried. Maybe I'm a natural.
Well, that's why I said.
genius.
That's why I said as of now.
Right. All right. So that's a big deal. Definitely excited to try that. North Star Games has a whole slew of them. First, there's this game called Blurble, which I thought sounded really weird. It's a party game where basically you put down a card. I would put it here, and it would have a picture on it, for instance, a dog. And it's a race between you and me to say the first word that comes to our head that starts with the same letter as whatever that picture is. So if it was dog, I'd be like, door. And if I say it before you, I'd win. And then you go around, you pass around with each player. It's another one of those goofy party games that they kind of like to do. It might be terrible, I don't know, but I thought it sounded interesting. They've also got, speaking of weird party games, a new version of Happy Salmon. This time it's a blue bag, and supposedly it fits a bunch more players. So that could be worthwhile if you like Happy Salmon. Say Anything After Dark. So this is their not safe for work version of Say Anything, which is another party game, sort of.
Yeah, we played it.
We played it. Yeah,
2 Gen Cons ago, I want to say.
I think it was. I think it actually might have been last Gen Con.
And I know friends of relatives had it, and I played it there. Of course, just because it doesn't say After Dark doesn't mean you don't.
Yeah, even the original version you could get After Dark.
We did some
because it was all you write down your own answers on whiteboards. So that's a really fun one. They also have 2 new versions of Wits and Wagers.
Oh,
really
that must be
driving
exciting.
home the party stuff.
Yeah, isn't one heroes versus villains?
One is a superhero version, so I think you can pick maybe a hero or a villain, or maybe you're all heroes, but you have an ability, a power, so you can actually use that as you're playing. I don't know if all the trivia is superhero themed or not.
I think you could do some really fun trivia with superheroes. You could be, how many times has Captain America said
A? That's a tricky one. They also have the Vegas edition, which sounds really cool. It comes with a double-sided board, or maybe it's a mat, I'm not sure. That one side is just like regular Wits and Wagers. The other side, though, has all these different betting outputs where like you could actually do a safer bet on someone, or you could bet double that you think someone else is wrong about their choice. So it adds a little more of the betting stakes kind of casino-style play.
All I can think of is like when you do, I think it's roulette is what it's called, when spinning in this, the black and red squares, and just everyone just dumping around these random squares. And
I think it is just like that. Pandasaurus will have a game we talked about on Kickstarter, Dinosaur Island.
It's got dinosaurs.
Yeah, Jurassic Park, the board game-ish. So we'll check that one out. Peterson Games is going to have Orcs Must Die, which is based on the video game. I have never played this video game in any iteration. Have you?
No.
But I'm just curious about it because that's, it's always weird when you see an adaptation and from a company that we like.
Oh yeah.
I don't know.
I'm sure
this might be their first license that I know of, certainly based on a video game, I think.
I think their last game, Gods of War, was based on something too.
Maybe.
I don't think. I think
Not God of War with
No,
Kratos.
not God. It's like Golgari or something.
Oh, but like it was like a role-playing property or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I don't know.
But yeah, I mean, of course, you can. I'm sure they'll have minis for that there. Maybe the prototypes. I'm sure they'll have some Cthulhu Wars stuff there to check out too.
I'm sure I'm sure they'll bring all that stuff with them. Maybe even have some for sale if they can carry it all. Plaid Hat Games, of course, is going to show up with some really cool ones. New expansions for Ashes, Rise of the Phoenixborn, standard stuff. You like Ashes? Check that out. Dead of Winter, Warring Colonies, which we kind of saw last year, but I think they're actually probably going to have it for sale.
We saw some pictures and stuff. We didn't really see any of the final.
They had like a prototype kind of set up, but
so that's
not really.
Pretty interesting. And I know a lot of people, it's very interesting to see how people talk about that. Some people are like, I wish you could use like two of the same bases or something weird like that. I don't know.
This is the two, or team base, two team, not two player.
Right.
That requires, well, it doesn't, to play the full version, you need two base sets of Dead of Winter.
Right.
It's interesting. We'll see how that pans out. And then they're going to have the Crossfire, which is their new spin-off of Spectre Ops, but this one, it's sort of like a Resistance style game, and it sounded very cool. It sounded like a good twist that we talked about a while ago.
Are you the spider?
I know, maybe I am. I'm Bluebird, or what I forget.
Mockingjay, I think?
Mockingbird, it was something.
I don't know, because I might be confusing with a Marvel or DC hero.
Yeah, or Hunger Games, I don't know. But the Plaid Hat makes great stuff. Not a lot of, I wonder if they'll have any surprises, because all of those are kind of known quantities to us right now. I don't know, it'll be interesting to see what they have. Portal Games, speaking of companies that we really like, they have First Martians, of course, which a bunch of people got from their pre-orders, but I think this is the first time it's really going to be available for a little bit more public consumption.
I know this is one you're very excited about.
Super excited. It's supposed to be, it's like sort of like Robinson Crusoe-esque, but on Mars, and it has an app integrated with it. So I'm really excited to play that one. They also have a game called Alien Artifacts that I don't know as much about, but I know it's a 4X game, and that kind of scares me a little because I tend to be a little afraid of games like that. Like I know with Eclipse, I have sort of a bad like PTSD from those games. But from Portal, I'm sure if you like those kinds of games, I feel like they never disappoint. So that's one I'll be rushing to try and get probably. Pretzel Games will have, again, one we saw last year, or heard about, Flick 'em Up Dead of Winter.
No, they showed us the demo.
We did actually get to see it, that's right.
So that's going to be there, which looks a lot of fun.
If you like dexterity games and zombies.
Also, knowing them, they'll probably have a very large version of it to play around with there, because they always have like...
That's right. Yeah, they do like to do that. It's always a fun booth to go to, because it's like playing with toys. The rest of this convention, very stern and businesslike. Project Raygun will be there with their new The Thing game. So I hope they actually have a demo, because I'd love to be able to try that out.
Oh, definitely.
I really want to know if it's good. I'm really hoping that's good. We're Thing fans here. Ravensburger, another Spiel des Jahres mention, is going to have the English version of the Quest for El Dorado.
Yeah, and like we said before, I'm very curious about it because I'm a deck building fan. Supposedly it's deck building, but at the same time it got an award, which usually means it's innovative somehow. So
what does this bring to the table?
Actual gold.
Now that would be something. It's $100 a box. There's 20 cards, but then gold.
And 1 out of every 1,000,000 boxes actually has a map to Dorado.
Yeah, that's like a Willy Wonka twist.
Turns out it's just a Doritos factory.
And continuing on this line, Renegade Game Studio will be there with their Kennerspiel nom, Raiders of the North Sea. Again, we'd like to try that out. They're also going to have their new Scott Pilgrim deck building game, which I'm also curious about because I like Scott Pilgrim. It's a deck building game. I don't know. Hopefully those two things can come together in a cool way. We'll see. Resonim will be there with Visitor and Blackwood Grove. We just talked about this. It's on Kickstarter, probably still right now.
Yeah, I know when we both been making this list that we're reading off of. I never seen that. You put in, you're like, didn't we just talk about? You're like, yes, we did.
Yep, that's all there is to it. So that sounds cool. Deduction kind of fun game like that. Restoration Games. We just talked about their kind of unveiling of a bunch of new stuff. They're going to have some cool new ones, including their versions of Stop Thief, Downforce, and Indulgence. They're the company that is now taking old games and restoring them. So it'll be fun to see how those turn out. They're also going to be doing a panel that I'm hoping to have time to check out. hear more about that. Sit Down.
You're rocking the boat?
That's right. Now, Sit Down will be there with Magic Maze, the final Spiel des Jahres that we haven't talked about. That was the one that sounded the most fun to me, actually.
I mean, I can't blame you. It's just we
couldn't get a chance to play it yet, so hopefully we'll get
I definitely was excited to play all three of them.
That's the real-time mall exploration game.
Stealing.
Exploration and stealing. And I don't wasn't.
We gamers, we love stealing.
Yeah, we love stealing so much. Space Cowboys will have the Cities of Splendor expansion. It's more Splendor if you like that. This one's got a bunch of modules. So if you like Splendor, I think it's probably a no-brainer to buy. Stronghold Games has a bunch of games, but in particular, they also have a couple expansions. One for Dark Moon, which is known as the BSG Lite.
Which is more important now, considering
there is no more BSG.
Apparently disappeared off the face of Earth.
At this point in time, so you may want to grab that. And then the first Terraforming Mars expansion, which adds new sections of Mars map that you can now colonize and do different things with.
Oh, maybe the moons?
It's Hellas and Elysium. So I think they're just parts of Mars.
Probably.
From what I've read.
I mean, from what we know, we only see one side of Mars in that map.
Right. So this is the other side.
That's going to be the future of gaming. We're going to have like a 3D map so you can actually rotate the world.
Oh, let's write that one down. All right, now. Even the hits keep on coming, guys. Stay with us. We're almost at the end. Upper Deck, we always got to talk about them. They have a new Versus Predator set to complement their Aliens set. But the big deal, the one that their entire booth is probably going to be theming around, is the Buffy Legendary game.
I cannot wait to see their booth.
Yeah.
Remember their booth last year?
They always have a crazy thing. Last year was Big Trouble in Little China.
They had
decked
they had the pork truck.
Yeah, they had the truck there. It was all crazy.
Now, how would you want this as a Buffy fan?
My guess is
I have a guess,
it's going to be a graveyard, maybe.
I was thinking actually they'd do the bronze.
I thought, but I mean, that would be cool, especially if they're like, playing music and stuff like that. That would be cool, the nightclub.
Well, I was thinking also because they had it makes sense, the tables and everything and stuff.
That's true, yeah. Maybe they'll do both. I don't know. They could do
and they should actually have the stage there and put the, I forget what the demon who like made everyone sing.
Yeah, and they're all going to have to sing if you enter that booth. We're, big Legendary fans and Buffy fans, super excited for that one. I want to talk more about that, but we can do that when we get to the show. USAopoly will have their new versions of Codenames. It's not enough. There's one company has it. The Disney and Marvel ones. If you like Codenames and you like those properties, probably worth
more words.
More words, as well as the first expansion for the Harry Potter deck building game, which I don't know what it actually adds. Because I know the first one.
Book?
Well, the first one, as far as I know, was the first 7 years. It covered them all.
Oh.
You could actually play sort of a mini campaign to get through them. So I don't know if this one is more campaign or if it adds stuff to go back into it. I know it's called the Monster Box. So maybe there's stuff from Fantastic Beasts. Van Ryder Games will have a ton of hostage negotiator stuff, including the new set, which I think I might actually get from Kickstarter before we go to Gen Con, as well as some new packs for that. They're also going to have this game that sounds really cool to me, Detective City of Angels.
Yeah.
It's a noir-themed LA detective game. It sounds a lot like Sherlock, or they compared it to Sherlock and Time Stories, but the difference is one player is actually acting as sort of the Sherlock book. So when you're questioning someone in the game to find a lead, it's actually that other player, but it is still a structured mystery. Like, it is a one and done, you actually are finding out what the correct solution is and moving on. So it sounds like that is a really cool twist where you still get that narrative satisfaction, but it's not quite as predictable. There's a person there to maybe help control. So when sometimes those errors pop up, it's not as big.
I definitely am excited for this. Also, because I'm going to force you to be that person to hear all your voices, all your noir gangster voices.
Yeah. Well, that should be cool. So we love those kinds of games. Victory Point will have their Darkest Night 2nd edition. I know that's a very popular game, and I feel like that was on Kickstarter, I think.
I can't remember.
I don't know. It feels like they've been talking about it forever, but they're going to have that there if you want to check that out. WizKids has a whole bunch. Brand new D&D board game, of course, and their same line of all those D&D board games. A game based on The Expanse, that sci-fi show that I haven't watched.
Has Jonathan watched it? Yes or no?
That's on the front of the box. Deadline, another kind of noir detective game that we've mentioned before on the show. And this game called Approaching Dawn, The Witching Hour, which looked cool. It's more of a big box kind of thematic experience with witches and magic.
Theme.
And then finally, closing it off on still a pretty big one, Z-Man.
Yeah, I mean, what would this be without mentioning Z-Man?
I know. I feel like they made their name start with Z just to show everyone up.
What would it be without mentioning Pandemic?
Yeah, Pandemic Legacy Season 2. That's probably going to be one of the biggest, if not the biggest game at the show. If you know Pandemic Legacy,
it's currently number 1, I believe, on Board Game.
I don't know if it still is, but it sure was for a while, and that's a big one. It's going to go quick if you like cooperative legacy games and medical themes. They're also going to have some smaller ones, including number 9, which was that kind of Tetris-looking game that's gotten some good buzz. And they always, Z-Man usually I feel has a few good new ones that I've never heard of that are fun to demo that I'm excited to try. So that's something I'm looking forward to. So now that we've covered most of it, what are you most anxious to A, try to play, and or B, actually get a copy of if you can? I can go first if you want.
Yes, please. Because I didn't actually think that far ahead. I was like, I'll make the list.
I'm a thinker. I've thought. Well, for me, First Martians is definitely at the top of the list. I actually definitely want to pick up That's a Question. I thought that was really fun. It's cheap. It's small.
I'm glad you're doing that because I really enjoyed it too.
And of course, those are the two Portal and Check games. They're usually you got to get there quick. Those things will run out. There's a bunch that I have kind of on my maybe list, like Dragonfire. I'm definitely excited for. I don't know if I need to buy it like right away, but I'm going to look for that.
That would be on my list, but the fact that we just started the Shadowrun, I'm like, I think I could probably wait.
Right. Get through that first. Obviously, Legendary Buffy, I feel goes without saying. I'm definitely most excited for that game.
I'm of course excited for them to announce whatever new Legendary they're going to announce at their special party, which it should be Transformers.
Yeah, we got to find out what it's going to be for next year, that's for sure. The Sheriff expansion is one I'll be running out for. Crossfire, this one actually I don't know if it's going to be available. That's the new Spectre Ops game. It was fuzzy if it's going to be for sale or not, but if it is, I definitely want that. And Magic Maze is the other one that I'm really excited to try.
Well, I really hope I get to see Edge of Darkness, I think, at least.
Yep, definitely.
I mean, in terms of buying, I think, honestly, it seems stupid, but I just want that, the DC box to hold all my stuff, honestly. Hey, in my head. Because all these, I'm like, I want to play, but I feel like there's so much. And Pandemic Legacy probably would be if we
haven't finished the first campaign.
No, we sort of lost them.
It's almost a relief, some of these, because it's like, we can wait on that. I don't need to worry about running to grab a copy.
And I definitely want to see what they actually have of the Cowboy Bebop, because I'm like, really? Because I like that property, so.
Yes, that would be very, very interesting. I feel like, I don't know if I'm just getting more selective or I've calmed down more, but I feel like there isn't as many games that I'm really want to rush out and buy.
The two I want are the Mall and the El Dorado, because I'm very curious to try them out and probably buy them.
They're award nominees.
Yeah.
So that's
because reading the descriptions, I was really curious about them. Definitely, yeah. I think the Mall one more because I actually know more about what it is. I want to see the El Dorado first.
Right.
But the Mall one sounded really fun.
Yeah,
and I enjoyed King Domino too. So.
Yeah, there's tons of good stuff. There's so much, and I know there's more that we probably some of this we won't get to actually talk about in the there's a 0% chance we cover all these games when we're actually there. But if there's something that you have seen that you really hope that we get a chance to try, that you want to hear us talk about, please leave a comment. Or if you're going to be there, and you want to say hi or something, anything like that, let us know, or what you're looking forward to the most. We really want to hear about that. Also, so it'll help us hone our idea of where we want to hit first, because there's so much. And I mean,
this is barely a drop in the bucket on that list.
Yeah, no, this was like nothing. There's plenty more that sounded cool.
And of course, as you said, like Fantasy Flight will probably announce 3 new things.
Yeah, for me, that's always the real unknown quantity that I'm excited about, because they will usually drop at least one big licensed game that you've just never heard of. So that's always exciting. And maybe they'll have the new Star Wars Destiny sets there, stuff like that. But there's a lot to look forward to, so much. And this is next week. This is going to be our last podcast before Gen Con, and then we're going to have videos coming out all throughout that week, and then even more still after covering all the stuff that we've seen, because there's just going to be so much stuff to talk about. So if you want all that, you definitely want to subscribe to this channel. We're probably going to have rollforcrit.com/GenCon 2017 that you'll be able to check out. We'll put up the link, whatever it may be.
And of course, as Jonathan said, if you want us to actually check out something, you can reach us out, just comment here, and of course subscribe. We're also going to be on Twitter, Instagram, @RollForCrit. We'll probably be posting there a lot too, so keep an eye out there as well.
Absolutely. In the meantime, you can go to rollforcrit.com, where we sell a bunch of board and card games and role-playing games. We didn't even mention, because we use Board Game Geek and they don't cover RPGs.
That's true.
They're going to have Starfinder, and a brand new Star Trek RPG is going to be there that I really want to try.
You know, I'll probably pick up a Starfinder, because I really like their codex idea, and that definitely sounds like that would be a fun.
I know that at least one person in our group really would want to play the Star Trek one. And probably Starfinder too.
I'm sure he would be fine. Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah. So even more, if there's more RPGs you want. Anyway, rollforcrit.com, you can buy some games to gear up maybe for Gen Con, or if you can't go, you can make yourself feel better by buying some old games that are just as good. You don't need to buy
or the base to prepare for the expansion.
Yeah, for sure. Check all that out. And again, subscribe and like and tell your friends that we're looking forward to Gen Con. We're going to be tired, but we're doing it for you people. Until then, I'm Jonathan Estes.
I'm Will Keeler, and this has been Roll for Crit.